So this handout contains student-written explanations for actual LSAT problems. And I think this is one of the most neglected parts of review in a lot of cases. A lot of times, students will take exam after exam, they'll measure their results, they'll be happy or sad about those results, and then they'll move on to the next thing. There's also a big technique that's kind of popular called blind review, where people will do problems timed and then untimed to see how their results might vary between the two attempts, to see if it's a timing issue or just a fundamental conceptual issue. And that's great. I think it's valuable to do that, but I think the missing portion of that is the review process. So I've given you a handout that contains a variety of student-written explanations. These are not the most perfect explanations in the world, of course, because they're written by students, but they vary in their level of detail. And I think you'll notice, especially with the ones on Test 71, some of them are a lot more concise and maybe not as in-depth as they otherwise could be. So I would encourage you to take a look more at the explanations for 71, Section 3, Question 18. I thought that was a pretty good walkthrough written by a student. And then the one from June 07 on the other side of the page, I think, was also a pretty good walkthrough as well. The other ones are a bit shorter, and they're what I typically see more often from students, writing where they say, I eliminated it because it wasn't necessarily true, or I eliminated it because it was a weakener, but why does it weaken the argument? Or why is something not necessarily true? Keep asking yourself why a couple of times to dig deeper to see actually what was your thought process like. Now, I got a question from someone for today asking, what are the easiest rules and ideas to implement to help improve on the LSAT, studying, or exam taking? And the answer really is neither. It's review. You could say there's accuracy, then there's pacing, then there's endurance. That's great. That's how I've typically broken it down in my study schedules. So accuracy is working untimed by type, learning the basics. Pacing is individual time sections. Then endurance is full-length 5-section exams. I've since broken it down into a bit more detail with learning, which is basically your textbook foundational type of work. So that's reading different prep books, just learning the basics, doing drills, things of that nature. Then accuracy, which is doing individual questions, untimed, perhaps by type. Then going on to sections, which is where you work on your pacing. Then you have your timed exams. Then you have your review process. So the idea is basically laser is the process you want to use for your exam prep, and review is really the most important part of that at the end of the entire process. So again, to walk you through it, blind review is marking everything you're unsure of while you're working through a section timed. You don't score it. You redo all of those problems untimed to see if you got them wrong both times or only once. But again, I'm recommending additionally, write down your review process afterwards, after you do the questions. And on top of that, I want you to gauge your confidence. So next to each question, you could rate your confidence about your choice on a scale of 1 to 10. And what I would add to that is you're not allowed to use the number 7, because people use the number 7 as a kind of in between. Skip that. So you can rate it 1 to 6, 8, 9, or 10. 1 means you were guessing totally blindly. You couldn't eliminate a single answer choice. 10 means you are super confident. You would bet your life on it. So rate your confidence level, timed and untimed, and then see if you got it wrong both times and you rated it with a high confidence level, that suggests that you're really missing something. On the other hand, if you got it right the first time and wrong the second time, that suggests that maybe you were unsure, you guessed, and it could have easily gone the other way next time around. So that's the classic case where you're down to 2. You get lucky maybe the first time, you get unlucky the second time. That's something to be aware of. The third thing is if you get it wrong the first time and right the second time, that suggests that timing may be your issue. So this is just a way to kind of help get a sense of what your issues are going about the review process. And so I gave you all some examples of student-written explanations. I think they're important just to engage in, not necessarily for every single question you complete, but every single problem that you get wrong or you have difficulty with, or of course, if you get it right, if you get it wrong but you had high confidence, that's especially something that you need to focus on. Any questions about review? How do you all typically go about reviewing things? You look at explanations, you watch videos, you read books?
Do both.
You do both? Do you look at the explanations after solving the problem?
Yeah, because usually some of the explanations just written and that doesn't give you a diagram, so I usually see there's some videos online and I just see them draw it out.
Yeah.
So it just makes more sense.
Any other review processes that you guys have used that you found worked or didn't work?
Well, when I first started, I would just do the problems and then check them.
Yeah.
But that's not as effective as like blind reviewing it.
Exactly. The blind reviewing is enormously helpful. I definitely recommend it. I just think additionally rating your confidence and writing out your explanations for yourself and then comparing them to what you see online is really useful. And also keep in mind that you can't necessarily depend on what other people have written. You're seeing their perfect way that they went about doing something. And a lot of times they're developing those techniques afterwards, after they've already done the problem 10, 20, 30 times, so they can see all those insights. So don't compare yourself against the perfect explanation and expect that you'll be able to do that sort of thing every single time. It's not going to happen. I think that maybe even someone like myself, 1 in 5 times, 1 in 10 times, will solve it the most perfect, efficient way possible. The other times it's a mix where we did it moderately efficiently, and other times you don't do it efficiently at all, but that's okay. The idea is that you solve it quickly sometimes, efficiently sometimes, and then other times you have a time bank to solve those other questions maybe less efficiently, but that's okay. You have typically 35 minutes, so if you can blast through an easy game in 6 minutes, you could do a tougher game in maybe what would be like 12, 13 minutes, something like that.